Before we get this video started, I want to admit that this is the second intro I've recorded. The first attempt I said y'all 3 times, and I was starting to become concerned I was going to buy a Ford King Ranch and practice my yees and haws by need of it. So, welcome to the channel. We're going to go through and answer about 25 of the questions that you guys submitted for a Q&A. Those questions were nearly submitted 2 months ago. I apologize for taking a little bit longer to get this video out than I initially intended, but life's been a little bit crazy, and I'll try to address some of that towards the end of the video. I'd like to thank, though, everybody that took the time to submit questions, and I think there's some pretty good ones in here. Before we get started, if you do like this content, please let me know in the comment section below. If you'd like to see me do another Q&A with the entire group, I'll try to get as many of the guys as I can together. Go ahead and submit the questions below, and I will do my best to make that happen. Also, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't. It is a huge help to us to continue to make more content. And I thank you to all of those who took a moment to subscribe over the past 2 weeks. It has been a huge boost to the channel. I won't prolong this any longer. I'm going to get straight into your questions, and there's a couple of these that are unhinged. First question. Hey Bo, what was your first ever job you ever had? So this is a little bit of a tricky question because the first ever quote-unquote job I ever had was my best friend in high school asked me if I wanted to work as a dishwasher at a restaurant that he was a busboy at. I didn't ask my parents. I didn't think about how I was going to get there. Nothing. I just took the job because I wanted money. So when I was a freshman in high school, I showed up for one shift, worked for 4 hours, got paid like 25 bucks, came home, told my parents I had a job, and they're like, oh hell no you don't. They didn't really want me to work because I didn't have the best grades in high school, so my first like real job wasn't until college, where I worked at Blockbuster for a couple semesters. Yeah, that's a thing. That really just aged me right there saying Blockbuster. And then after that, I worked at a furniture company called Herm Miller, where I assembled work surfaces. That's a much more boring story, but so I kind of jumped around a bit, but yeah, you gotta start somewhere. Next question: if you could remove one thing from the world, what would it be? Well, that's a really good question. 2 things immediately jump to my mind. The first one is mosquitoes, which would be beneficial to a lot of people, but I also really feel that HOAs should be deleted from existence. I dislike my HOA so much, and we are currently having more issues with the HOA here. There's about to be like a full-on revolution in my neighborhood over what the HOA does. So anybody that just takes their money, tells you what to do, and then doesn't do what they're paid to do, yeah, what is your purpose? I won't get into a huge HOA rant right now, but HOAs absolutely suck. If you have the power to buy a property that doesn't have an HOA, especially here in the States, because it's only kind of an issue, I believe, over here, don't. Like, I want to move out in the country where nobody cares. Next question. What is the best museum you have visited? I'm kind of partial to the museums in Chicago, 2 in particular. The first one being the Museum of Science and Industry. That was my favorite place to go in junior high and high school, and I'd love to get back there again. They have U505, which is a unique experience. I remember going in there. They actually used to run the engine back in the day. I don't think they do that anymore, but that was also just a really cool experience. And then they have a Stuka and a Spitfire suspended, and a bunch of other really cool aviation history, and just really neat odds and ends stuff that they switch in and out. The other museum that's kind of around the block, not really around the block, but nearby, is the Chicago Museum of Natural History. And I love that museum so much. I feel like it never has enough traffic in it. But they have Sue, the dinosaur. They have the 2 lions that are famous for being man killers in Africa, and a bunch of other really cool stuff. It is a really neat museum that if you're ever in the Chicago area, I really encourage. So you have like the Natural History Museum, the aquarium, and the observatory all within walking distance of each other, right next to Soldier Field. Next question. What got you into making War Thunder videos? I've always made videos for YouTube for as long as I can remember. I used to make them in different games, Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead 2, Battlefields, various other things. But I think my love for video making started in high school. I had a computer elective where basically a teacher gave us a camera and said, go make short films. He gave us like the iMovie program. I think that's what it's called back then. And we could do whatever we wanted during class time. I will also admit that Jackass was really popular at that time. And we also did some skits/stunts for videos that probably shouldn't have happened for a high school project. But that's where my love of video making and video editing first started. And it's just fun to upload things that you create. It's fun to just creatively have an outlet, no matter what that is. So that's how I got into it. Eventually, we started playing more and more War Thunder. And I love military warbirds and military history, so it was just kind of really a natural fit for me, I feel. Favorite non-American fighter jet in real life could be for looks, capability, or whatever, just non-American. In my opinion, the best looking non-American fighter jet is the Gripen. I love how that thing performs, and I love the way it looks. I think it's just a really classy looking fighter jet that looks mean as hell in the sky and on the ground. So I will give it up to Saab for making a badass looking jet. Any new games you excited for? Well, at the time that question was asked, it would have been Roadcraft, but that came out last week because I took a little while to get this video out. I'm sure most of y'all are familiar with Kingmakers. I said that word y'all again. State of Decay 3, there's a new Fable game coming out that I'm really excited for. There's a game called PVKK that I'm not going to say its full name because I cannot pronounce that. I'll try. No, I'm not going to try. I'm also really curious to see how Subnautica 2 turns out, and I'm looking forward to the co-op mode that's going to be in that game. And I think the big one that a lot of us are interested in is GTA 6, and seeing when and how that turns out. So there's a lot to look forward to in the next year and a half. I seem to recall you've played Command & Conquer. What's your favorite entry for the franchise and why? Hands down, it's Red Alert. That was the game that I was absolutely addicted to. In junior high and high school, we used to play multiplayer sessions over dial-up modems. I am dating myself so bad today. But I absolutely loved Red Alert. It was so campy with its like live action cutscenes. That was absolutely the game that introduced me to strategy games. And I put way too much time into learning the metas and different strategies for Command & Conquer Red Alert. That game has a special place in my heart. How much trauma has War Thunder caused you? Okay, that's a fair question, and I'll answer this. So, back in the early days of War Thunder, I used to put a lot of effort into testing flight models, gathering data, making sure that models were correct, submitting feedback, submitting different opinions, you know, trying to make the game better any way I can. And I knew a lot of us that were spending a lot of time, effort, and resources to try to help the game be as accurate as possible. And that was back in the days of when we had game modes like historical battles versus realistic battles. And I would say around patch 1.31 to 1.39, there were some major changes to the game that a lot of us didn't agree with. That's when stuff like mixed battles was introduced. They switched from HB to RB, and things didn't quite seem to be the same. There was a lot of really bad matches back then. There was a lot of growing pains for the game, and there were a ton of issues. And as a War Thunder YouTuber and as a War Thunder player, I was starting to become pretty pessimistic about the future of War Thunder at that time. And thankfully, they've done a lot of work to overcome a lot of those issues that we had in the game back then. Some of them may kind of still exist. I won't get into that now. But I've talked to a lot of new players who really push themselves pretty hard by putting a lot of hours into the game to try to unlock a certain tank or plane. And they just grind and burn themselves out playing things that they don't necessarily enjoy or want to play because they want to get to their end goal. And by the time they put in the 20, 30, 40, 100 hours to get whatever they're trying to get to, they're burnt out of the game. My biggest advice to any War Thunder player is always try to find the fun in the game. If you enjoy playing a certain battle rating or a certain vehicle, there's no shame in sticking with it for as long as you want to. There's no winning the War Thunder race. There's always another vehicle to grind out in this game. So, while you're playing the game, remember to have fun with it. Find the fun. That's my best advice for you. What is your favorite how-to video for something in real life? I absolutely love this question. When I moved from Florida to Texas, my parents gave me their old dryer, and it was a 2-prong plug. Well, the house came with a 3-prong socket. Yes, it's going to be a little bit of a nerdy electrician talk. But basically, the dryer didn't have a ground on it because it was so old. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to buy a new dryer. I don't have cash for a new dryer. How am I going to get this dryer to work? And I searched through and found this video that had like 500 views. And some guy showing how you take apart the exact dryer I had. Pull off the back panel, pull off this, pull off that. Go to Home Depot. Buy this plug. Wire it like this. Boom, bang. Plugged in. It's worked ever since. That video has saved me money. And I actually felt quite accomplished for doing something electrical in my life, because I don't mess with electricity. I've been shocked like 3 or 4 times in my life, all because of my fault, but me and electricity don't vibe, so I was very proud of myself for changing out the plug on a dryer. It's probably not a huge accomplishment. It was for me. Oh, this question. Would you consider filming another Rainbow Six Siege video? I know it's basically not the same game anymore, but I had a blast watching those videos. We had a lot of fun making those videos, but ultimately they became a lot more work than they were fun. At about the time of Operation Health, the game really started changing, not for the better. We started seeing a lot more hackers and just a lot more metas that we didn't appreciate. And then I'll say it, the game got a little bit too sweaty and try hard, and there was just people using tactics that we didn't particularly care for, like spawn peeking and just different stuff that I wasn't very interested in. It's not the same game that I fell in love with during its release. I'm hopeful that another Rainbow Six will come out in the future that kind of returns back to the old school Rainbow Six. But for the time being, I don't see another Rainbow Six Siege video being put on the channel. It also didn't help when, for some reason, all my Rainbow Six Siege content got claimed, and I had to have a little bit of battle to get all that back. So that was probably the last strike for me, is when I, for some reason, just lost all monetization on quite a few Rainbow Six Siege videos. We had a lot of fun in those games. I still have a lot of fun memories, and hopefully another game comes out like that soon that we get to play again. Would you consider doing VR content? I am absolutely interested in doing VR content. My current issue is that I have astigmatism in one of my eyes, and most of the headsets that I've tried only allow me to focus both eyes. I can't individually focus one eye. My HTC Vive, I'm basically blind in my right eye. Left eye, fine. It's very difficult to fly when you're half blind. The amount of games that I could actually play properly was a rather small sampling. I've been watching the VR market, seeing if there's something out there that would work better for my situation. I know that I can get a pair of prescription glasses that would fix this issue, but I'm just really not interested in wearing glasses in a VR headset. My head creates a lot of heat, and I feel like I would just die if I tried wearing glasses and then that headset over it. At the moment, I'm going to hang back on VR content until I find something that works well for me. What is your favorite food? I will never turn down hardly anything Tex-Mex. Enchiladas, empanadas, chimichangas, burritos, tacos. I love it all. I'm also a big fan of barbecue, but if you put a good enchilada in front of me, I will destroy it. What is the most interesting thing a viewer has sent you? I'm going to talk about 2 things that viewers have sent me that I will be forever grateful for. The first one's going to be this art piece here that I'm going to show. This showed up randomly one day, just completely unexpected, and I instantly fell in love with it. I took it and got it framed, and it is displayed prominently in my house wherever I've lived since then. The second thing that somebody sent me that was so generous was when I was living in Florida, I was hit by 2 hurricanes within a year. And after going a week and a half each without power, somebody sent me a generator. I am forever thankful for that gift. It has been a lifesaver, and those are just 2 things that viewers have done for me that I just never expected, and I will always be thankful for. How do you like to calm down from a hard day? That is a fantastic question. For some reason that hits me hard, and it probably should. But sometimes I struggle letting things go, and I want to just keep grinding and working on something until it works, or I accomplish what I want to accomplish. And some days, things just ain't gonna go your way. life is full of disappointment. And at a certain point, you just gotta learn, drop it, walk away, come back to another day. It'll still be there. You can still do what you need to do. 3 things I typically like to do to calm down when things aren't going my way. 1 is just go for a walk. I grab the dogs, we go for a couple mile walk. I kind of just disassociate, get outside, get some fresh air. It helps just to get away from the situation. The second thing I sometimes do is I just watch movies. The dumber the better. Tropic Thunder is one of my favorites to watch. When I'm having a hard day, I can just watch that and just forget about reality. So that's another thing I do to kind of help myself. And the last thing I like to do to calm down from a hard day is just socialize with people. Hanging out and talking is really a big help for me when I'm trying to distract myself from something that is bothering me. I think everybody has different ways they like to handle hard days. I think the most important thing is just identifying when you need to take that break and find ways to help you kind of process and recover from whatever you're going through. Next question. Will you guys ever make naval videos? Because your ending always has a naval clip. We did some videos of naval back in the CBT days with the coastal fleet stuff, the small boats. I honestly particularly don't like the bigger ships in War Thunder. I don't really like the gameplay mechanics of it. It just doesn't really speak to me as a player. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it if you enjoy it, but just for me, it just doesn't do a lot. And the gameplay that you see in that ending that you're talking about is actually from World of Warships. Hopefully, though, Naval will continue to evolve, and if it gets to a point where I find it to be fun again, I will happily make content on it. What is the one game you'd like to have a remake? Battlefield 1942 was one of my favorite games growing up, and I would love to have a modern-day remake of it. That's simply it. That was my game. Make Battlefield great again. How did you discover and start playing War Thunder? A long time ago, Kobe Woby and I saw a Rabba's video. I believe it was called The Canadian Policeman, where he was showcasing flying in a Blenheim or a Beaufighter. I think it was a Blenheim, actually. He was flying in a Blenheim, and we were like, what is this game? We have to play this. We went over to, I think it was warthunder.ru at the time. We had to download it from the Russian site, and we jumped into, I think, patch 1.27 or 1.25, and we just started playing War Thunder then. It was the kind of the game we were looking for because we enjoyed flight sims, but War Thunder was kind of that fun, casual mix between proper flight mechanics, but also not being quite sim. Hello, Bo. Are you considering more content from IO2? It was nice to see sometimes something other than War Thunder. Also, SnowRunner content is great. Yes, we've been talking about doing more IO2. Bismarck is usually my wingman that I play with in IO2. He's been extremely busy the past year and a half, so I apologize for the slowdown on the IO2 content. Stickboy actually bought a flight stick for IO2, so at some point we need to find some time in the near future to sit down and teach him how to play that. And I'm hoping we get some of the other guys back in and playing IO2. Regardless, there is a IO2 Korea coming around the corner, and I am 100% excited to jump into that. So you will be at least seeing IO2 Korea content on the channel if we don't get back into the IO2 Battle Stalingrad stuff. So yes, IO2 will be definitely returning to the channel sooner or later. I wish I had a better timetable for you. One of the big reasons we kind of slowed down IO2 content as well was we were having a ton of issues with the multiplayer servers, and that just really became a more aggravating experience for us for a while, so that also kind of caused us to step away for a moment. I'm hoping, though, that those issues are mostly solved these days. How are Barrett and Sadie? So for those who don't know, Barrett and Sadie are my 2 dogs. I got Barrett from a shelter about 10, 11 years ago in Florida. He is a lab mix. He's absolutely a crazy boy, but he's been doing fantastic. He's getting up there in age, but he doesn't seem like it. He still acts like he's a puppy, which is great. And he's been awesome. I've absolutely loved having him, and he's doing quite healthy. Sadie is a American Terrier / Shar-Pei mix that I adopted about 8 years ago. She's also from a shelter, and she's had quite the struggle. She just went in Friday to have her 3rd hard mass tumor addressed. We've had the first 2 cut off her. Last year, when she had the 2nd tumor cut off her, the stitches popped, and she got infected, and we had a huge ordeal trying to get her healthy. And then we're right back here about, 7 months later, and she has another tumor on her right side underneath her front leg. So this time I opted to have a injection on that tumor that is supposed to cause the tumor to hopefully die and disappear. I don't quite understand medical sciences. The vet was very high on this new shot. I wish I had the name of it. But basically, we decided to go with an injection versus surgery this time. So it's been quite busy here over the weekend, watching her, making sure she's doing all right. But hopefully that tumor will start to die out here, and we'll have a healthy Sadie. But yeah, barring Sadie's health issues, we go out for walks every night, and the dogs have been absolutely fantastic. Could I ever convince you to come back to Michigan just to go to the Kazoo Air Zoo? I would actually really like to go see that museum. I've been to the air show there, and that was top-notch when I went. They do have a F-117 and an XP-55, I believe, on display at the Air Zoo. They also have a bunch of other stuff. They do really good content as well online about their restoration, so it's a really nice-looking museum. I would love to go. Unfortunately, traveling to Michigan just for that might be a bit of a trip for me, seeing that I'm in Texas now. But maybe. I mean, I'll never say never. I'd love to go. What are your favorite hamburger toppings? To be honest, I don't know what I don't like on a hamburger. I'll put almost anything on a hamburger as long as it makes sense. Avocado, onion, lettuce, tomato, pickles, I don't care. Cheese, bacon, barbecue sauce, mustard, ketchup, onion rings. I'll put almost anything on a hamburger as long as it makes sense. Mushrooms. I just love burgers. One of my favorite foods. I will nearly try any burger as long as it doesn't look too crazy with the ingredients. This is a fun question. If you could have 10 firearms, only then, what 10 would you choose for your collection? Okay, some of these I already own. I actually picked up a Benelli M4 last December, and that was one of my must-have guns. So, Benelli M4 is on that list. I've always wanted a SOCOM 16. I just can't justify the price for it. When I was younger, I used to hunt with my dad with a Remington 1187, pre-Freedom Group merger crap. You know, proper Remington. But I love the 1187. That's a fantastic shotgun. I've always wanted a 1940s, 1950s Browning high power. That's a gun I've been seeking after for a while. I just can't find one I like in the condition for the price. Since I'm a child in the 90s, I've always wanted a Mark 23 with the suppressor and the LAM unit. Sorry, it's kind of nerdy. I love H&K, and I love the Mark 23. It's so stupid. I love it. I've always wanted to buy a Winchester 1897 Trent shotgun. That's one of my must-have arms before I die. I've also considered buying a Norinco copy, but I really like to find an original with all the proper bits on it. The next gun I'd like to have is a Ruger Mini 14. Please don't judge me, but I grew up watching A-Team reruns, and they always had those iconic Ruger Mini 14s. And I was like, when I have adult money, I'm going to get one just like that. I never have, but it'd be a fun gun to have in a collection. The next one's going to kind of seem like an oddity from those I just listed, but I'd really like to also have a Sharps rifle, just for historical reasons. I think Sharps rifle is a really neat firearm. And then, so that was 8. So the last 2 I'd say are going to be completely childish and obscene. I would love to have a Beretta 93R because of RoboCop and the movie Equilibrium. I always loved the 3-round burst Beretta. I think they're just crazy stupid, and they're awesome. Yeah, Beretta 93R I would love to have. And the last gun I choose for my top 10 list here is the GM6 Lynx, because every home needs a 50 cal for home defense. I also think it's really funny to have the thought of a home intruder coming to your house in the middle of the night and then hearing that barrel slide into the forward position and making that metal chunk sound. Yeah, we're gonna see how fast they really want to be there or not. GM6 Lynx is so absurd. I would absolutely love to have one. Alright, next question. Have you ever thought about doing a sim racing video? It's come up a time or two in the past. I am not a good sim racing driver. I have horrible driving lines. I have no patience. I sometimes seem to forget where the brake is. I'm dangerous. I will put up a crazy fast lap, and then I'll wreck, and then I'll go crazy slow, and I'll take out 3 people. I'm not consistent at all. But Stick and I have talked about doing sim racing in the future over on our Twitch channel. So it's definitely a possibility. Maybe if I got better at it, I would consider doing a video on it. Culinary question, Bo. Potato salad, eaten cold or warm? I almost gagged the first time I saw this question. Why would you eat potato salad warm? What? That actually sounds dangerous. Why would you eat potato salad warm? Why? No. Cold. That is such a horrible question. Cold. Don't eat warm potato salad, please. That just seems like it would go in your stomach, and your stomach would immediately go like, no. What is this? This is poison. Please don't eat warm potato salad. Please don't tell me it's the thing that people eat, warm potato salad. Please tell me that this question is a troll question. This can't be real. I'm upset. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I set this next question aside for last. Could you do a general life update video? This is something I thought about doing for a while on the channel, and I just didn't know when was the right time or how much of this I wanted to talk about or address. And I want to be pretty honest here, pretty raw, so I'm going to go through kind of the last year and a half and just talk about everything that's been going on in my life. I'm hoping that some of this may be helpful for those who are going through similar circumstances, or if you find yourself in this circumstance later in life. If any of this is helpful to you, I feel like I'll be doing a disservice if I don't at least talk about it. But we're going to start back at January 2024. My mother moved in with me because she is suffering from kidney failure and dementia. She has episodes where she has really low blood pressure, and she's very prone to passing out and falling. So we've had numerous trips to the emergency room at 2 or 3 in the morning. That has been a very big challenge. And then the dementia is also just a really big obstacle that I've been having to learn how to navigate. Dementia is a horrible disease. It's been running rampant in my family for as long as I can remember. And it's tough. It's just, I'm trying to be there for her as long as I can. I don't know how much longer she has, but I want to try and make her life as comfortable and as best as I can for as long as I'm able to. And I don't know how much longer it's going to be. She has good days and bad days when it comes to dementia, but at a certain point, I'm afraid that she's going to be out of my capabilities to take care of her. So she's had these health issues for quite a while, and then another crisis started last January. And this is a hell of a story, so please try to stick along with me here. Last January, somebody reached out to her through a text message saying that they were from the FBI and that she gave funds to a child pornography / human trafficking ring, and that she must cooperate or she will be thrown in federal prison. And my poor mother thought this was real. And the scammers threatened that if she told family, the police, or anybody, that they would have her or those she told arrested. So she never mentioned it to me for about 2 or 3 months. And the scammers had her send money to an address to assist in the investigation. So this is, yeah. They had her install stuff on her computer, and then they claimed that they were following her around town. They were watching the house. A bunch of other craziness. The text message string was like 85 pages long. It was absolute insanity. Eventually, she opened up to me that she sent over $165,000 to these scammers. We got the police detectives involved. We tried to get the FBI involved. They didn't seem very interested when we reached out. But sadly, when you mail stuff through check, it's not really covered. So she was only able to get $2,000 back. And the banks, of course, are claiming that since she sent those checks willingly, that there's no possible way they will cover it. Long story short, the police weren't able to be super helpful. The banks weren't very interested in being helpful. The FBI that we reached out to wasn't very helpful. And after fighting with the banks for about 3 months, my mother said, "It's fine, I don't care anymore. I don't want to live the rest of my life worrying about this crap. Just let the money go." So she walked away from $165,000, and the scammers got away with it. I think she recovered like $2,000. So that was most of her life savings, and now I've been also trying to financially take care of her as well. That's been where a lot of my time has gone, and I don't know what the right thing to do is in a lot of these situations. I would feel terrible if I just didn't help her. And then about 2 months after that whole situation, I unexpectedly lost my father. He passed away. And so I had to race up to Kansas to bury him and sell off his estate. I never really talked about my father much on this channel, but he was a fantastic human being. I've learned a lot from him. He was a very caring individual that made sure his kids had everything they ever wanted or needed. We just passed the 1-year anniversary of burying him, so it's been tough. And so if I've kind of seemed off or there's been kind of random gaps in content, yeah, that's this life. Overall, though, things have actually been going better since then. I did end up selling my car that I've talked about in the past on the channel. I ended up replacing it with another vehicle, but I don't want to talk about what that vehicle is yet on the channel because I'm still going through some vandalism / doxing issues on my property. And I've been trying to kind of hold personal information back from the channel, but that is sold and gone, and I've replaced it with something newer. So I do have a more reliable mode of transportation, so that's been taken care of. Hopefully in the future, when I feel more comfortable and this whole situation is done, I can possibly show off the vehicle if you have any interest in seeing it. But I'm very thankful I still have the channel to kind of pour my creative energy into and continue to work on. It's been absolutely awesome. You guys don't know how much you've meant to me the past year and a half, and to be able to keep doing this has probably been the only thing that's kept me sane, if I can be honest. I thank all of you for your continued support, and yeah, I don't know how else to end this video, but again, thank you so much for being there, and thank you for allowing me to keep making content, because I love doing this. And I hate ending the video like this, but I do want to say one last thing. We all go through periods of our life where it is hard, and everything just seems difficult. But the important thing to do is just keep going, because things will get better. Everything comes in seasons, and just keep trudging along. That's all we can do. I appreciate you letting me ramble for the last 30 minutes and sharing what's been going on in my life, and it was fun answering these questions. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.